Oh, okay. I think I'm live. I think I'm live. I'll check in a minute. Come on now. Yes, yes. I hope you're here, Norma. I hope you're here. I hope you're here. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. I'm just doing the sharing, so there's always a little bit of a pause. Now, Venus not here today. Venus out vacationing. She's training. I mean it from a train that, transport train. She's busy training in that sense, not the other kind of training. I'll use the word a little different. Yeah. She's on a train journey across country, which is quite wonderful. Very exciting, very exciting. So we'll hear all about it when Bina comes back. So I was hoping because she wasn't here yesterday, but it's quite long, so I was hoping she'd make it for today, but not, unfortunately. So all good though, all good, all good. It's pretty exciting. Just I remember as a kid, I went across all the way on the country on trains during the vacations uh, to go and stay with my father during the vacation times. He stayed up on the other end of the country, well, at that time anyway. And so yeah, it was always fun going on the train journeys. All right, there I'm back again. I was saying, train journeys are oh, that's the picture itself as a border. Train journeys are fun. If you've never been on them, extended journey where you sleep in the cabin. At that time, a Venus journey, I think, is 17 hours. But mine, when I took it, I slept 2 nights on the train. So it was 2 nights and 3 days. Yeah, that's quite amazing. It's pretty slow. I guess the train stopped everywhere. I don't know why it took so long. It just seemed a bit unreasonable. At some places, the train would just stop, for a couple of hours. It's like, why? You know, very odd. I guess maybe it's just, you're on a line that other trains are using and coming the other way, maybe. I don't know. They had to wait the train to go past. I don't know. Yeah. It always intrigued me at the time. I never could figure out and find out why. Ah, brilliant. Hello, wonderful Norma. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. I'm glad you're here. Glad you're here. I wish I could see you, but no, yeah, just how it is. Just how it is. So, hello, Norma. Hello, hello, hello. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're here. Just doing all the uh let's see. There we go. And just sharing everything, as I usually do. Sharing is important. Sharing is important. Because I do the lives here in group, but then I also share it to my own timeline and then I share it to my page as well because the page is connected to the website. I have uh, a plugin on the website that that makes whatever I post to my page on Facebook, it dynamically, automatically, live shows it on the website, right? On the main page on the website there. So that's pretty cool. So, if you go to the website right now, you're going to see the live on the website, and you'll also see it on my own timeline. So just spreading things a little bit. I know I've mentioned this many times. The reason I do this is not because I'm looking to get people to listen to it. This is a this is just a bonus edition. if people listen and enjoy it, that's fine. But I'm going to do it anyway, regardless of what they do, because I get tremendous value out of doing that, right? And it's a communication to the universe. It's sharing. It's putting things out there. And so whenever somebody does listen, especially if they give me feedback, like Norma does, comments and that, this is a great bonus. But I do feel that, if you are putting something out there, put it out there to the best of your ability. If you're sharing, right? Sharing is always free. So whether or not somebody actually connects to that or not doesn't matter. But it's still important that, just from an impeccability point of view, to do things to the best of your abilities, right? And to do things as well as you can and as appropriately as you can. It helps. It helps, and it's important, right? It's a good thing to do and do well and do appropriately. Always good. Also, we don't always get people commenting and even, uh, just even clicking likes or whatever, because a lot of people watch it afterwards, and they watch it on YouTube as well, and I'm assuming some watch on the website too. But this is very interesting to me always, that people watch and don't comment. And I can see on YouTube that there's a well, I suppose through Substack as well. I always forget about them a bit, but that there is a sustained number of people that watch on a regular basis. Yeah, and but they don't comment though, and this always puzzled me for the longest time. Right? It's like, but why? How come you're not commenting? Yes, and I feel that much of it is sometimes that, because of the nature of what I'm sharing and the depth and the complexity to it. If you like listening, right? Yeah, I'm not just reading a typical story. There's more. And then, especially in the capital R readings, you get those layers upon layers upon layers. And much of what I'm sharing is life-changing stuff, like really, really life-changing stuff. Yeah. And and I feel this is why people don't comment, because it's kind of overwhelming sometimes. And I've seen this with participants, that they also can be overwhelmed, right? By all of the moreness that's coming their way. Because of course, when when you are paying attention and you are earnest about self-change and life change, right? This is a very big deal. So as a result, if you earnest and you come across that which now say, whoa, 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 this is life-changing stuff, right? You either have to actually make that effort to change or be a bit of a hypocrite. Yeah, it's a very big deal. It's a very, very, very big deal, right? And this is why we don't always get people commenting, because it's a bit much and they're a bit overwhelmed. And it's like Bina said, you're already saying what they need to say. You're already sharing it, in a clear way, in an understandable way. There's not much to say about it except to listen and yes, oh wow, cool, right? So this is also another reason. I thought that was a very interesting point from Venus' point of view. Me, I've always got a zillion questions about everything. I like to hear alternative perspectives, but that's just me. It's just how my brain works. So not everybody's like that. When you hear something that's powerful and valuable, you just want time to process it and absorb it and act on it, right? And really, we are going slowly through the book. But if I was reading this book as a young man, when I was looking for this kind of book and read everything that I could find to find this, I would have stopped everything else in my life and focused only on this, you know. And it would have probably have taken me, years to go through the book. You read through it, but then you go. I've done it with other stuff, but it never had this level of depth and density to it, and completeness and cohesion and coherency specifically, right? And the completeness is very powerful too. But for me, the way to read this book, if you are not looking at it as a story, Yes, the story part is there, or the entertainment part, the enjoyment part. But if you're truly into self-change and life change, the way to read this book would be to read it the way we do it with the courses, right? You go through it, you do takeaways on it, you do repeat backs on it, you apply it, and then when whatever you're encountering, you apply. And once you've made it your own and you're applying it, you practice it, you put it into implementation, right? That takes a lot of doing. Then you carry on to the next thing and the next thing, and so you build and you start to eventually apply all of it. And then of course, you move through the whole thing and then you start again because you always miss stuff, right? And and not just even if you didn't miss it, even if you're applying it, when you come back again, you now have a different basis that it's going on to, and you're applying on top of application. It becomes a tweak and an adjustment and a fine tuning. And well, or sometimes it's a big adjustments, right? Sometimes we're like, man, I kind of missed this. I thought I had it, but I didn't really, and there's more, right? So it's a very, very, very big deal when we start to look at this book through this lens as a self-improvement, life change and self-change book, or at least the information is there. I mean, a lot of these points in the book are like Biella comes at it from different angles at different times, right? Especially when it comes to attunement. Like attunement came up very powerfully with Hyla and Bina and Biella says it very beautifully there right before the gift of intent story. And then of course the gift of intent is again about attunement, but that's more from the angle of the beginning of it when you're starting and you don't exactly know. And then the last two chapters, which we're going to get to next week, again about attunement, right? The very next chapters, like over and over about it. And so this is, there's a lot there in terms of the overall philosophy and understanding how this philosophy of appropriateness works. And of course, way of impeccability too. That's there in the book in a subtle way. It's part of the story. But if you're paying attention, when Biella shares, she's laying out a very powerful life change, self change program. If you look at it from through that lens, somebody can say, wow, really, wow, this is, if I actually were to use this is powerful stuff. Yes, it's ridiculously powerful. It's life changingly powerful. It's phenomenally powerful. It's very, very big deal. Very, very big deal. Uh, on that note, Norma, let me now uh, switch to actually reading the chapter. Uh, Now I'm going to read today and not screen share. You like that, Norma? Norma, that make you happy to hear? Is that just for you? It's just for you. Just for you, wonderful Norma. Just for you. All right. So now, Norma, I'm going to read and comment as things come up in me, but also I'm going to watch the chat very carefully. So I'm keen for you to share your thoughts, ideas, comments, questions, whatever. Anything that pops up in you, even if you don't think it's relevant, share it, right? In Way of Impeccability, there's a whole a session on takeaways and the philosophy of takeaway. There's one particular type of takeaway. There's many different kinds, right? But one is called a come up takeaway. It's just stuff that comes up in you, right? And whether or not you may think it to be relevant or not doesn't matter. Yeah. It's always connected in some way, but our intuition can be quite profound, right? All right, brilliant, Norma. All right, so here we go. Chapter 15, Songs and Hearts. Songs and Hearts, right? If you pay attention to my chapter headings, right, there's a moreness to them. They connect somewhat to the abstract, right? And it gives you a clue as to what the chapter is about. It's not just a fun name, right? So this is a song in a greater sense, right? When you think of a moreness when it comes to songs, what is a song but an expression, a capital S song, right? A mourner song, not just a tune that we're doing for entertainment, right? I mean, a song is something that's coming from your depths, yes? And it's connecting not only from your depths, but it's connecting to a moreness, right? Profoundness, depth, and stuff that you are passionate about, stuff that makes a difference, right? Stuff that influences us, stuff that feels good, that's profound, etc., right? So songs are very particular ways of expressing, right? And we in our normal language and way of talking, ordinary speaking, we don't express ourselves the same way as you do in a song. Yes. So when we really pay attention to this, we hear stuff differently when it's a song, right? And think of the wind. Sometimes the wind just blows and it's just kind of noisy, right? But sometimes there's a song in the wind. Yes. See what I mean? It's different, right? And we've probably all in our lives heard this. You may not have made this connection, but now if you think of it in retrospect, say, wow, yeah, really, it wasn't always the same. Yeah. And sometimes those songs, you think of a song as being something loud necessarily that you'd expect from a strong wind. No. I've heard songs in breezes, the faintest, tiniest of little breezes. I've heard song in breezes, yes. And also we can hear song in somebody's mood. Yes. They can kind of be lyric, even though they're not actually singing. They can have that. Yeah. We hear it sometimes from Bina or regularly from Bina, if you're paying attention. Now, it's songs and hearts. Yeah. And what is heart? Like there's a path with heart. Somebody say, oh, they've got a big heart, they've got a strong heart, or just they have heart. Never mind a strong heart or a big heart, just they have heart, right? Like Norma. Yeah, Norma's a magical heart. Yeah. Capital H heart. Yeah. So it's songs and hearts. There's that moreness of expression and heart is moreness of being. The chapter is about moreness of expression, moreness of being. Yes. In a very particular way. Yeah, we'll see how that particular way comes when you combine the two together. And then, of course, the same thing as the title, the opening quote here, also gives an indication of what's to come, right? And the moreness, not necessarily what the story's about, but that ineffable moreness that the story part connects to, right? I love the mystery and possibilities of being. I refuse to lock myself into any one so as not to deprive myself the fun of exploring them all, right? And it's any one way of being. The way of being is not in the quote that's implied, right? Because there are many ways of being. We don't have to confine ourselves to one. And this is a real sad part of our culture. Everybody's looking to define them. I'm a this, I'm a that. But I'm a doctor, I'm a mother, I'm a teacher. No, that's not who you are. That's just what you do. It's not who you are. Who you are is a good person that cares, that loves, that enjoys, that finds this, to whom, this is important or that's important. That's what makes you. And those things can change and they evolve, they grow, they change, right? So when we understand this and the difference, then we don't get limited by personal definitions. We end up with personal conceptions, and a conception is open-ended. It's evolving, it grows. There's some moreness to it, right? So it's very important to understand this. And so this also here is saying, wow, we're going to be talking about ways of being, in other words, ways of living, right? And that there are alternatives, right? It's like, oh, by implication. Yeah. Very important. All right, so it starts. Yeah. Can you relish the dream? Biella said. Out of the blue, she just throws this out there, right? Can you relish the dream? I love this. I love this question from Biella. It's very powerful to me. Very, very powerful to me. And it is something that I ask very regularly. And this particular word relish, it's very important. I had a manager of one of my stores once, and we played golf together. And he was struggling a bit with his golf game. So I said to him, play with relish. Changed his game. He remembered that many, many years later, decades later, right? He remembered me saying that to him. It changed his game, right? Didn't necessarily, yes, his game improved, but it changed the playing of the game, right? So it doesn't matter that this, is technical scores and that it did improve some, but not, in a very wild, dramatic way. But what did change was how he came to those scores. That changed dramatically, right? So when we play with relish in anything, right, this doesn't have to just be golf. Play, work with relish, right? Like now, when I'm doing this, to me, I do this with relish. I enjoy doing it. It's a thrill. It's a joy. Relish. Relish is a particular kind of a quality, right? So, like reading this, right? Relish it. Yes, and we are different people to different people. Exactly, Norma. That's all part of appropriateness. We are there's a false emphasis on being the same. Don't be false. I'm not being false when I change. Okay, so let me give you a real simple example, right? I go to a party and I'm all happy and cheerful. And the next day I go to a funeral and I'm all sad and, well, I wouldn't say I'm miserable, but sad and somber and sober. I'm the same person, but I'm behaving very, very differently. Well, because it's appropriate. Yeah. So we need to understand this. I'm not being false. I'm simply being appropriate when I change. And in life, when we are different with different people, this doesn't mean you're being false or phony. You're being appropriate, right? I mean, some people I talk to, they love the sobriety, and I can get really into depth on very sober stuff. Okay, cool, like it. Others like things a bit lighter, and other things they wanted to be more from a kind of secondary point of view, don't want it to come in, so many ways to relate and connect with people. It's all about appropriateness, right? So yes, Norma, we are different to different people. And also, it's not just about appropriateness, but we can also get cued to be different. So we have to be very aware of cueing. Yes. If you've been a parent or a teacher, you know what cueing is, right? You push out something, a vibe, an attitude, a mindset, even an awareness, and this influences people to behave in a particular way, right? You cue them to follow your lead, as it were. And we do that without even realizing it in many cases, yes. And also we need to realize that we respond to cueing without even being aware of it. Yeah. Like somebody sets the mood, the tone of a meeting, they're cueing you to follow their lead. You don't even think about it. You just automatically kind of go with it. If you ever have walked into a locker room, for instance, right, and it's or a meeting, either way, and it's already there's a lot of people in the locker room. There are many people in the meeting. And there's lots of discussion going on, lots of tone, especially before the meeting starts. Right, everybody's chatting and connecting. Right, there's a mood, there's a vibe there. Yeah, who sets that mood? Who set that vibe? Where did it come from? Yeah, yeah, it's very powerful. That's why I always recommend to people, be the first one at the meeting, be the first one in the locker room. So if you're not sure of the environment, so that you can set the mood and the tone, because if you do, the second one that comes in and you engage them and you initiate, and you now start to set the mood and the vibe, and most people will just you know put into whatever's already there rather than trying to change it. Yes, especially if it's an appropriate mood and a vibe, and a sensible mood and a vibe. Yeah, and a positive mood and a vibe. And that can make all the difference, right? Because if the first person who arrives at the meeting or in the locker room is all negative and got gripes and complaints, they said that, and now they start, and then the second person, "Oh, yeah, they bring out all their gripes and complaints, and then you can forget about it. You've got negativity, and it's very hard to change that. But likewise, you can start off with being enthusiastic and positive and eager, etc. Yeah, man, I'm with you. Yes, I'm keen to get this done, whatever. And you see, the mood feeds on itself, right? But where does it start is the question, right? And it starts with whoever is the one to set that, right? And we need to realize that we can do this, right? Yeah. So this is part of being different with different people, Norma, is that you can initiate and you can also respond and pay attention to which it is, right? Because if you're responding to, like, say, somebody's negativity, or just like they're all immersed in self-pity and you're like, oh, shame, you poor baby, and all this, right? You're still responding, but that's not necessarily appropriate because you're just helping them be all immersed in their self-pity, right? And this has come up a couple times in the story. right? That Biella makes an effort to not do this. So she will change the mood, change the tone, change the cueing, and put them on a different path, right? It's very, very powerful stuff. So being different to different people is a skill that we need to cultivate and develop so that we aren't just blown about by the moods of others and their queuing, right? Because they're not deliberately queuing. They just come and share stuff, and then you get caught up in their bubble. And it's like, man, I don't want to be caught up in anybody's self-pity bubble or complaining bubble or whatever. No, thank you very much. That you can do on your own time. Coming and drag me into that stuff, right? Don't want anything to do with it. So very important, very important. But this point of relishing the dream, right? Can you relish the dream? She doesn't ask your dream, no, my dream, your dream, no, the dream, right? And what is the dream in a general overall sense? What would the dream be just on an overall aggregate basis? Yes, Norma, what would you say just the dream is when you apply it to, like when we say life, right? Life, what is life to on the average? You can more or less generalize for everybody, right? But in the same way as you're saying life for everybody, what is the dream? Yeah. The dream is for moreness. In whatever way people conceive of moreness, that's the dream. Yes. The dream is to have moreness, whether it be material or physical or spiritual, whatever, right? Doesn't matter. Yeah. It is moreness, is the dream is for moreness. Yeah. But now Biella asks a very specific question, right? Are you relishing the dream, right? However you connect and interpret the dream for you personally, are you relishing your dream? Right? By implication, the dream, your dream. It's super powerful because most people are trying to live the dream in whatever way they possibly can. But, it's like, oh man, this is a struggle. It's like, it's tiresome. It's work to try and fulfill my dream. They don't relish they don't relish the dream. If you relish your dream, you relish trying to apply it. You're trying to make it happen. And therefore, you live with relish in your life. It changes everything. Changes everything, right? Now, everything. When you have relish in your life, you enjoy doing the little things. You're keen to do it. You're eager to do it. You're enthusiastic to do it, right? And there's a thrill to doing it, right? Relish, 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 relish. So it's a very powerful point, and also applying it to the dream. That's very important. Not to have your dream thus become work, become mundane. No, no. That's going to kill the dream very fast. Yeah. Can't have that happen. Can't have that happen. So it's a very powerful, powerful question. Can you relish the dream? Biella said. They had left the sky garden, making their way across the crown of the giant tree, heading towards the mountain. Um, said Ursula, smiling, prompting Biella for more. Later, by the way, this becomes a thing, right? That it's something that aspirants are not encouraged to say, and to get out of this habit of saying yeah. It's a filler, it's a substitute, it's laziness of poor expression, and it's a default reactivity rather than a deliberate response. And of course, the new nobility are looking to live deliberately and do so for the most part. Yeah. So an is kind of counterproductive towards that. Yeah. Norma says, I don't share my own dreams. Norma, are you meaning dreams as in life dreams, self dreams, or dreams like when you're sleeping? Which dreams do you mean? Because you put dreams in inverted commas. So I'm sort of assuming that if they're inverted commas, they're not really dreams. They sort of, kind of, more or less, maybe, trying to be dreams, but aren't really, right? The inverted commas implies that. So can you elaborate, please, Norma? Thought dreams. Yeah. And that's fine, Bina, because, when they're just thought dreams, then they're in the process of looking to get adopted and put into practice, right? Because that's how dreams work. You kind of think about it and you know, look at it from different angles and figure it out. But that doesn't mean you've adopted it. Doesn't mean you've made it your own, right? So there's establishing the dream, then there is adopting the dream, and then there's living the dream, right? So different stages of dream, right? First you have this pre-stage where you're not, it's still in process of development. Then you adopt it and say, okay, this is going to be my dream. But of course, that's not enough. You can't just only adopt it. You have to act on it, right? You have to put it into application, right? And that becomes living the dream. Now, of course, living the dream, you're not at the end part of the dream. You have to get there there's usually some progress involved. But if we set our dream strategically from the get-go, the application of the process of getting to where you want to go is a joy, right? And this is the logic of the journey and the destination. Most most dreams have a destination quality to them. But if we understand that if your dream is one that truly has heart to it, the journey is just as valuable and wonderful and thrilling and exciting as the destination, right? That's why we're going to talk about Venus train journey, yeah, because it's just the thrill of being on the train. It is a destination. It is an object, a goal in and of itself. You could go just, hey, go on a train trip. Doesn't matter where you're going because the thrill is the train trip itself, right? Who cares where you're going, right? Doesn't matter. You go and you come back. And you can go to anywhere. Doesn't matter, right? Same thing with dreams. We need to relish the journey and the destination. And that's the totality of a dream, right? It's getting there and also in the process. Doesn't matter, yeah, so much the end. Sometimes the end does matter and you have a specific journey in mind, but getting there needs to be just as much fun. That's very, very important. It's very, very important. Otherwise, you likely will not get to your destination of the dream destination if the journey is stressful and troublesome and difficult. Right? Just like why? Right? So we need to pay attention to our dreams and also say, hey, this is getting me what I want and I'm enjoying the journey. If we don't enjoy the journey, doesn't work. Doesn't work, right? Just a thought that crossed my mind. Biella smiled back but did not elaborate. Her smile broadened even more as she spotted Illuminia coming. Oh, excellent. All right, before we go on to this with Illuminia now, because it all changes, Bina just drops this. She just shares this. There's no more to elaborate. Can you relish the dream? That's enough, right? And she's asking a question. Ursula responds with, She doesn't answer the question. She doesn't say, yes, I can. Yes, I am, right? Now, in that one moment, right? And we'll come back to this maybe later on in the story. Yes, Ursula will think about it. In that question, when Ursula answers and she says, "Can I release the dream?" Well, yeah. The very instant that you say, "Yes, I can," uh, you have to change, because if you're saying yes, you can, then by implication, if you are not doing it, why not? So the moment you realize you can relish it is also the same moment that you actually do start to relish it. Right? You see how this question is a self-fulfilling, self-answering, self-applying question if answered. Yeah? Because of course you can relish the dream. And if you can't, well, then your dream needs work. Yes? See? So when you really, really make that earnest effort to answer that, yeah, then that your answer actually changes your reality. So the simple question from Biella is super ridiculously life-changingly powerful. We can create what we dream about. Precisely. Right? So a dream, a capital D dream, is not only something that's just like a fantasy that you're pursuing. No. When you pursue a dream and it's real to you, it is an intent and it changes your reality. Yes. But a dream has that moreness to it, that it's not just something you want to intend because it's good and right and it should be. No, a dream is also something that provides deep, a capital D dream, like your life dream, that provides you with deep joy and satisfaction and resolution and moreness and completeness. Yes. So Biella is making a very, very powerful philosophical point in that question because saying, can you relish it? Oh, I never thought about relishing my dream. Uh, can I? Yes, of course I can. Well, why don't you? Ah, right? Why don't you? If the answer is, yeah, well, because it's at the end and I'm not there yet, well, then change your policy to enjoy the journey as well as the destination, right? So this is very powerful, right? Very powerful, very, very, very powerful, ridiculously so. And because, like Norma says, we can create what we dream about because it's connected to your intent, and your intent is connected to your perception and just the materialization of your reality, right? So our dreams, our intents affect our reality. And therefore, when you relish your dream, you're going to have a very profound effect on your reality. Yes, I do. I personally, I have to say, I relish my dream and I've lived in that relish of my dream, all my life. And it's very powerful. It changes everything, right? It changes everything. You're training the brain to see connectivities and moreness. And of course, all the moreness that I'm sharing is all coming from this. It's not that I have any special quality other than the application of a few key understandings. That's all. It's really simple, very simple, right? Makes a lot of difference. Makes a lot of difference. Illumina, smiling with joy, hugged Biella, then hugged Ursula, and without pause or reflection of any kind, hugged Hyla. Now, Illumina hasn't been uh, she's aware of the delegates and knows what's going on in the sense, but she hasn't been at all the interactions with the delegates because that was, it's kind of like a task that was given to Biella. And yes, any new noble can of course join, but they've got other things that are going on in their lives, and attunement takes them on other paths. Now, if attunement had taken them to be there with Biella, then they would be. But so Illumina hasn't particularly been interacting, which is why she hasn't met Haila before, right? I mean, she may know that okay, Haila's a delegate, but that's it, right? She doesn't know Haila thus. She hasn't met her before. But look what she does, right? So when we look songs and hearts, right? Illuminia, smiling with joy, hugged Biella, then hugged Ursula. Now, she's because Biella's been interacting with Ursula a little more, and uh, than the others, and they do Ursula and I mean, sorry, Luminia and Biella are obviously very deep friends, so she's aware of this connection with Ursula, right? So she just hugs Ursula in the same way she's hugging Biella. But now she's got two very profound hugs here. But her awareness of the dynamic and the interaction between them, the three of them now, right? She's coming upon the three of them just after Hayla's sharing and Hayla's story and their deep interconnectivity there in the Sky Garden, right? So it's obvious to Illumineer that there's a change in the relationship here, that Hayla is included in the same connectivity as Biella has with Ursula. Hylas now part of that, right? If you have any understanding of group dynamic and interpersonal dynamic, you can see that when people are friends and where there's an inclusiveness in the group, right? And you may have two friends, but then the third one is, but of an acquaintance or whatever, and they don't have the same inness, right? And same inclusivity. Illumineer, as a new noble, this is the things they practice and pay attention to. She sees it. So without pause or reflection of any kind, she hugs Haile in the same way as she's hugging Ursula and Biella. Right? This is very powerful. It's just paying attention to the obvious and acting in the moment accordingly. Right? It's like a duh, right? It's like a duh. Don't have to always say anything. We don't always have to, go into long stories about it. No, we can just act. We can just act directly. Biala made the introductions, adding a measure of explanation. Illuminia, this is Haila. She offered us friendship, which Ursula and I both wholeheartedly accepted and returned. And again, Biella's as just part of their culture is adding the extra explanation, which Illumina already knows this, but it's nice to get confirmation of what you have figured out from your perception. Because perception is always potentially, you may not get it quite accurate. All right. Even if you are accurate, it's nice to get that validity of your accuracy so that you can in next time say, okay, I'm not assuming. I have some credible reason for my perceptions, right? And so Biella is doing this as part of the new nobility way of being, right? Their culture, right? To provide the background for this, right? But she also does it very succinctly, right? Illumineer, this is Hyla. She offered us friendship. Right? That's a very different way of saying Hyla's become a friend. By implication, this friendship, and there's a slight pronunciation nuance that Illumineer will hear because it's capitalized friendship, right? And the way Biella says it, even though it's very, very subtle, the difference, when you know that this is part of the language, capitalized terms, right? She offered us friendship. There's a fractional tiny little pause that lets you know friendship is now capitalized and therefore something special and different, not just, hey, we became friends. Yeah. And also offered in the normal course of making friends. Very seldom do you go to somebody and say, "Hey, I want to offer you friendship," right? When you do that, there's obviously a moreness to it, right? It's obviously something that is part of a culture or a personal philosophy, either way, right? Which Ursula and I both wholeheartedly accepted and returned. Right. So now it's like, yes, Illumineer, your perception that Ayla has joined our group on a very deep friendship level. Yes, we don't have history, but that doesn't matter. Is accurate, right? Illumineer took a thoughtful, deep look at Ayla. Without hesitation, she said, "Well, then I too am your friend. Anyone Biella accepts and befriends on that level is also a friend of mine." She hugged Ayla again, confirming this, right? Now, already we know this because Illuminia hasn't interacted much with Ursula. But when she came and she hugged Biella, she hugged Ursula as well, right? In the same way, right? This is the same. You can see the power there, right? So now she's extending that to Ayla. And this is a big deal. And there's a deep philosophical point that is being made here through the story, right? And it's coming about through Hyla's reaction. Hyla took a moment, overwhelmed. The genuine, unrestrained goodness of the three of them amazed her. She knew the offers were not casually made, not without consideration or awareness of the implications and consequences. That much was obvious, right? So she is getting her friendship offer, a friendship gesture, returned in full measure, right? But she also knows this is not just people being cued to do this and being caught up in the moment and later they say, I don't know what I was thinking, I just was caught up in the vibe and the mood and yes, I offered the friendship back, but really, I shouldn't have done it because I'm not really ready for it. I don't have time, space, whatever, right? She knows that it's not the case. She knows that they think about things, even if very quickly, they do look at the implications and consequences, and they are making their decisions aware of what it involves, right? If you're making a friendship offer to somebody, friendship means you're there for them, right? That you are now saying that as much as I'm able in my life, I will make time for you, which means that things that aren't essential, that don't have a time priority, that have to get done, or there's a big calamity or problem or stress or trouble, right? The rest of the time, what we do in our lives, we have lots of times which yes, there's stuff that we want to do that's important to us to do, but not actually critically time necessary. Like, let's say me publishing my book, right? If I publish it in a month's time or 2 months' time or a year's time, yeah, it's not the end of the world either way, right? So there's some adjustability there. And that adjustability is if my friends need me, want, I'm there for them. So anything that is on that level, it just gets shifted, right? And you fall in, right? So you are saying, I'm available to you. And that's a big commitment, right? Because that means that our projects and things that we do, when the friend does avail them of you, they get shifted back, right? And this is not like a stress thing; it's a joy because, well, you like interacting with your friends, and sometimes you never get to do some stuff because, well, I'd rather spend time with my friends. Okay, so, but it's still a big commitment, especially if you live a very full life. And for the new nobility, their lives are filled to the brim, overflowing. Their lives are super, super full because they are connected to moreness, right? They relish not only their dream, because they're living their dream. So that means they relish every single second and moment of their lives, right? Everything they do is fantastic. It's awesome. It's wonderful. This goes on all day long, right? So when you are saying, I'm going to be there for you, right? If my life is filled with moreness, which I relish every moment, this is a profound gesture from the new nobility. Yes, no, regular people is like, well, my life kind of sucks. You're really interesting. I'll be thrilled to have you in my life. Their lives don't suck. Their lives are awesome and fantastic and profound. So them making time for you means they really like and enjoy and see the moreness and the value and the awesomeness and of it, right? Even if they may not consciously know what that is, if they've been brought into it via attunement, they know it's going to be there because attunement doesn't put anything in your life that isn't awesome and more and fantastic and excellent, right? So when people come into your life via attunement, this is a fantastic gift. You may not have any clue why at the time, but of course, you know from previous experience that it's going to be so, and you'll discover it as you go along, right? Very, very powerful. So this point of this offer, them accepting it, and their unrestrained goodness, see, this is goes deep into their core, and that's why they are called the new nobility. Not could be called, the society of learning or something, yeah, no, because nobility is at the heart of their core of being. Yes, yes. Through that nobility, they want to be the best that they can be in order to be just the most that they can be, because that makes a difference to everything, right? And it satisfies the noble urge. It's very, very powerful, right? So these offers were not casually made, not made without consideration or awareness of the implications and consequences. And this is very powerful, right? So one, that the thoughtfulness and making space in your life for somebody, this is huge. But also we come to a very, very subtle point here. It was their capacity to shift and embrace the moment that fascinated and impressed her. Right now, she's seen this with Biella and Ursula earlier, and now uh, Illumina comes and she does the same thing because she also knows Biella and knows Ursula a little bit now, right? By extension. But she can extrapolate from that. And she does the same thing, right? She just takes it there. And this without to embrace the moment that fascinated her, right? To not only embrace the moment, but to shift with it, to act on the moment, right? Because Illumina comes and she sees this group dynamic of the three now in this friendship, right? And she shifts. She says, "Well, if you Biella's friend, then you mine too." It's as simple as that, right? She shifts. She changes her life right there, because what is she going to do? She can't not accept Ayla because Biella's her friend, right? If How can she not accept Ayla as her friend? That means she doesn't really trust Biella. Because she trusts Biella implicitly, deeply, and she knows Biella is sensible and thoughtful and sober and wouldn't do anything casually or anything foolish or silly, right? So how can she not align herself with Biella's? Because if you're a deep, intimate friend and my deep, intimate friend takes on another deep, intimate friend, how do they not become part of the same circle? it's not really possible, right? I mean, technically it is, but it's really hard. It's hard to have separateness like that because, especially in a culture that likes to share. No, they have to be, right? Have to be, right? So you expand the circle. Now, it may not be that they will interact. It turns out, like Ayla goes back, and so she goes back to her planet, so they don't really have much interaction. It doesn't make any difference, right? You're still friends. If they see and have an opportunity for interaction, fine. They will connect back on that same level, right? It doesn't go away. Yeah, but still, it is this ability, right, to act in the moment. She knew Biella and Ursula had plans. They had been willing to set aside their commitments, all for her. That was profound and telling. Yes, I mean, Biella and Ursula have the plans for, Biella tries to show Ursula all uh, the power, the energy, self-sustaining energy, that they have on Nobelias. It's very important to them to have this, right? And she doesn't get there. It takes a long time. It's like a theme throughout the book. She sees a little bit, and they never quite get to share it all, right? And it's an ongoing plan that gets set aside, that gets shifted later. It doesn't get cancelled, just gets shifted to later, right? So it's just like a thread that's there, but they're willing to set aside these for her because they realize the significance and importance via attunement. They realize that it is important via attunement. How exactly, they don't yet know, but they trust their connection to attunement, right? They were not acting blithely, knowing exactly what they were doing, but none of the hand-wringing and irrelevant agonizing or deliberating Haile had always observed in others when decisions of import were made. This is the point of this interaction with the Lumineer, right? To illustrate, to show in action how this would apply, right? I mean, most people I know would come and say, "Wow, okay, Biella has made it." Yes, I mean, I already know about Ursula, and I've accepted Ursula into our group here. My friendship circle with Biella. Ursula's been added as a deep, profound friend, right? And now, as a third one, Ayla too. Man, do I want to accept Ayla or not? Well, I can't not accept her. And then you get into this dithering and hand wringing and irrelevant agonizing. It's just mind effing. That's all it is. Sorry, there's no better word for it than that, right? It's just like, why? It's like this. You can't There's no other option here. There's no other alternative. That's just the way it is. Your life has changed. Either you struggle against it for no good reason, or you embrace it. Yeah. But why do we struggle with decisions? Because you don't trust yourself, right? Insecurity, right? And that's because you're not living according to impeccability. It's very simple. Impeccability, because it's best use of energy, it also, obviously, in the actual practical applications, it translates into the ability to make decisions that you trust and to trust your decision-making ability. When you can trust your decision-making ability and know when you're impeccable that you can't make decisions that you'll ever regret, right? When you make impeccable decisions, they aren't right always, no, but they are decisions that you'll never regret, right? So where's the problem? When you trust yourself to make and you have a process that involves this, right? The impeccability, it's innate, it's automatic, it's immediate. It's like there's no need to doubt and agonize over it. The only reason for this agonizing and deliberating is if you don't trust yourself, right? And that's the brilliance of impeccability. You learn to be able to trust yourself. We tend to think that I can trust myself because, well, I'm always right. That's the only time you can truly. That's idiotic and it's nonsense and it's total false thinking. And that's superiority paradigm nonsense. Impeccability is not about being right all the time. You can make the most profound mistakes and not have any regrets because you were impeccable in how you made the decision. Right? If that's the only information that was at hand at the time, well, that's then you make the decision. If it turns out wrong, it turns out wrong. Okay, too bad. Right? It's how you made it. Were you thorough? Were you scrupulous? Were you diligent? Were you conscientious? Did you do your due diligence, your research, your homework? Yes, 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 yes. Okay. no problem, right? And when it's an obvious duh decision like this, Illumina will never regret the decision. It's like, what were her choices? Yeah. And there weren't any choices. It's like a duh, right? Right. So now we get to the next point here. Very subtly said again, like, the reader can put it together here, right? This readiness to live, to immerse in the now, to not waste a precious second. This grabbed Hyla at her very core, right? So she's connecting it. I mean, first she's pointing out the specifics, and then she goes a little bit more abstract, right? And it's this is from the narrator, from the overview perspective, right? So it's an elucidation of what's happening inside Hyla, right? And it may not be fully conscious even, but nonetheless it's there. Yes, this readiness to live, to immerse in the now, to not waste a precious second. This grabbed Hyla to a very core. Now let's see. Let's go right back to the very first sentence here, right? Can you relish the dream? This readiness to live, to immerse in the now, to not waste a precious second. If you relishing your dream, that's exactly what's going to happen, right? You're going to have a readiness to live, and you'll be immersed in the now, the magical brilliance of now, and you will never ever waste a precious second because it will be precious to you. If you're relishing something, how is it not precious to you? Yeah, right, Norma? Make sense, Norma? Oh, you have to leave in 5 minutes. All right, no problem, Norma. No problem, no problem. But tell me when you do leave, and then I'll end the live as well. Yeah. Ayla shakily extended her hand towards Illuminia in the friendship gesture, which is this, right? This is the friendship gesture. Okay. Not live long and prosper. Yes. I wish to be your friend. I am your friend. I relish your friendship. Yeah. That's the friendship gesture. Yeah. Right. Okay. That's fantastic, Norma. Yeah. Overcome with emotion, Illuminia placed her hand against Hylas, going with a gesture. Now, when she made the gesture to Biella and Ursula, it was just it just goes part of when you offer. I wish to offer you friendship, right? And it's not part of the mechanism to put the hand against it. But Illuminia doesn't know. And so she just puts her hand against it as like, okay, she's just kind of going with the flow of things. And to her, that seems appropriate, right? Which is actually very cool. And and Haler would now extend this later when somebody does accept it to actually do the two together, right? She adopts this gesture of Illuminia's, and when she goes back to her homeworld, she starts to change this the way they do it, right? So she changes the culture in that sense, just adds to it in a way, which is very cool. I love this. The illuminated, innocence, boom, puts it up. So innocent side, just going with it, right? Ayla could not speak. She simply held her hand against Illuminia's as tears streamed down her face. Most people did not make the gesture more than once or twice in a year at most. That's a capital G gesture. More than once or twice a year at most, sometimes only three in a decade. And yes, she had made it three times in the space of a few hours. Now, notice the difference here, right? Hyla is overwhelmed that she's made the gesture, like the offer, in other words, put out, said, hey, I offer you friendship. That's the gesture, right? I offer you friendship. Just making it is a profound thing. Just offering it, just making it is a profound thing, right? She's overwhelmed that she's in the space of a few hours three times. And then it had been profoundly returned all three times. So she's got just offering it is profound. And it also was returned, right? Because you can offer it sometimes and there's no negativity if somebody declines. They might just say, thank you for offering, but my life is too full. I don't have space for more. Okay, no problem, right? So it's not taken as a negative, just I understand. And you may likewise have not accepted others offered to you. Yes. So it's just not a negative thing, it's just appropriate and sensible, right? Okay, no problem. So offering it on its own is profound, but having it returned as well, all three times, this just blows her away. A gift beyond imagining. Friendships on Haler's world were not only treasured, they were venerated. I love this. I love this. I'll end right there, Norma. I love this. I love this ideas that friendships, like mine with you, Norma, I not only treasure it, it's venerated by me. Yes. Friendships are very profound, magical, awesome, spiritual things. Yes. Capital F friendships, right? So they treasured and venerated, right? No problems, no problem, Norma. You never have to say sorry. That's friendship. See, I totally assume, accept, trust, take for granted that you have a good reason. It's all good. There's no obligation to be here, so no need for sorry. No need for sorry, beautiful Norma. No need for sorry. All right, love you, Norma, and I will end on that magical point. Norma's got to go and do magical Norma things that she's going to relish doing. Yes. So relish your dream, Norma. Relish every moment. Relish. Yes. All right, Norma. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow. On that note, I'm going to end the live. I just want to put love on all of Norma's comments because I do love them all. And I was very immersed in the story and responding, so I didn't get to click love on them all. Uh, there we go. All right. I got them all loved now, Norma. And love you too. All right. All right. Oh, thank you, dear Norma. Yes. You're very dear to me, Norma. You're very, very dear to me. You live in my heart, as I've told you before. Friendships are very powerful to me and very potent to me. It doesn't matter the nature of the friendship. Sometimes they can be, I only, see people very light. But doesn't matter. It's still very dear to me, very precious to me. Yeah. Yes, love you, Norman. Love you very much. All right. On that note, I will end everything and see you tomorrow. See you tomorrow. All right. End meeting for all.